Kevin Holland already has his next fight announced after a just stellar 2020. He's got his first fight for 2021, a headliner against Derek Brunson on March 20th. 5-round fight, big implications because that's looking at, the winner kind of moving up into an elite test and eventually a title shot. And I don't know. I really like this matchup. I think this is a great matchup for a lot of reasons. Matt, how do you feel about this one?
It's a fantastic matchup for a lot of reasons because both of these guys have steadily improved, throughout their tenure in the UFC. Derek Brunson completely reinvented himself. He's like a different guy now, hair and all, right? Early on, if this was early, like version 1.0 of UFC Derek Brunson, I say Kevin Holland, just waxes him. But that's not the case. We got a different version of Derek Brunson, a more calm and calculated version, still possesses that crazy power that can end a fight out of nowhere. But he's got a different approach to the fight game these days. And it makes it very interesting because these matchups, even against guys that he's lost to, like recently, they would look completely different now, I think. If they ran back the Jacare fight against Derek Brunson right now, that would look a lot different. I'm not saying he would beat Izzy. I mean, obviously, he still lose to Izzy probably, but it would be a different fight. I think it would be a different fight. But going all that, wrapping that into Kevin Holland, Kevin Holland's a guy who's just tearing through everybody. I mean, they had the common opponent in Jacare, like I just mentioned, and he delivered one of the craziest knockouts we've seen in a while off of his back. One of the best knockouts of the year. It's at least in the top 10 for 2020, right? Just a crazy. You all right over there?
My heart.
Okay. Yeah. Just
gator noises.
Yeah, sad gators all around for sure. But it's an interesting matchup, man, because I like where Kevin Holland's going right now. I mean, this is a number 7 versus number 10 currently. Derek Brunson with the 7, him with the 10, and Kevin Holland. So yeah, whoever wins this fight, definitely top 5 or better next time out for sure. What do you think?
Yeah, before I let you know, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and get that notification. Be an elite. Be one of us. Join the Chimaev News Network. Come on. We're totally worth it. Hit those buttons. Back to the content here, the premium content. When it comes to Kevin Holland and Derek Brunson as a matchup, I think it's one of the few times where the UFC made a logical matchup that makes sense for a rising contender and someone who's looking to rebound, right? We talk about this all the time. We look at Chimaev and Edwards. We look at, even Thompson and Neal to an extent. That was closer. That was a much closer in terms of getting two guys that were in a good spot where, yeah, sure, go ahead and give the rising contender a real test and allow Wonder Boy to kind of fight another contender and see if he's ready for an elite competition, step up impossible path back to the belt. But this makes all the sense in the world. This is one of those perfect scenarios where Brunson, as you mentioned, has reinvented himself. Old Derek Brunson, I used to make fun of all the time. I used to talk about his chin just being like, he leads with his chin. Yeah, just throwing wild. Yeah, go rewatch the Robert Whittaker fight where, Brunson kind of rocks Robert Whittaker, which of course, because Robert Whittaker gets rocked by everybody, and then leaves his chin just wide out. They're just swinging wild. And that was huge. That was a big step back for Brunson, because if Brunson had beat Whittaker, he was probably on his way to a title shot or a number 1 contender fight at least. And he kind of fell back. Then look at the Jacare fight. As you said, Jacare still had some vigor at that point. I think that was kind of, towards the end of where we've seen really prime or past prime, but still very good Jacare, getting that knockout. I believe it was a head kick knockout. Brunson looked awful, just all around. Was good to an extent, but had a chin of glass and led with it. Old Brunson, nah. New Brunson has looked completely different. He really has reinvented himself. He looks so much better. He's not, fighting Izzy and just lazily going in for those entries where you're asking to get hit. He looks ridiculously good. And the biggest test against that was Edmen Shahbazyan, who is not a pushover. Did we kind of find Shahbazyan's ceiling in that fight? I think so. We'll see. We'll see how he rebounds. He's still very, very young. He still has very good wins under his belt. He can easily rebound, but Brunson looked so good in that fight and really solidified that he's changed things around and he's a new fighter. Holland, on the other hand, has just been on the craziest tear of 2020, as we said. The common opponent in Jacare, yes, although I would also argue that the Jacare that fought Holland is not the same Jacare that fought Brunson. I don't think it would have necessarily gone much better, but I think that it wouldn't have been as gruesome in terms of Holland getting the knockout that he did against Jacare. I think a younger Jacare, might have been a little bit smarter, might have still had a little bit more of a chin. Who knows? That being said, it makes all the sense of the world. And I'm with you. I don't know that I can just hand Kevin Holland as a sure pick in my book on this one because of what we've seen out of Brunson. I think that this could actually be the reverse. Holland did not look that great against Darren Stewart. I will harp on that for a while because he has improved. He has looked very good, but he did not look great against Darren Stewart, who I like a lot, but is a real interesting person to come away with a split decision win against, right? I don't know how he's going to do against this new version of Brunson. I lean Brunson here, personally. What about you? Who do you go with if you had to pick?
I'd probably lean Kevin Holland a little bit, slightly. Not really confident in that. I think the money line, like when the betting line comes out on this fight, should be very small. I don't see either guy being a significant favorite over the other. I don't believe there's a line just yet, but I think it should be fairly close on the betting windows. It's a really even matchup, I think, with both guys, like we've been talking about here. Really showing improvements in the recent outings, and like you said, that Darren Stewart fight, like that was a loss in some people's eyes for Kevin Holland, right? But he's also got impressive wins and impressive knockouts too in the UFC. So, that could have been an off night for him. I mean, if you look at his next couple of outings after that, you would kind of point towards that. But was it the level of competition of a Darren Stewart, who's a tough dude to get out of there? Maybe. I mean, I don't think like you said, the diminished Jacare is really all that great of a win in 2020, especially at the tail end of 2020. It's tough to gauge. I think this is going to be one of those fights where you really get a good idea of where both guys are right now. It could very well be a tough, like a split decision fight, where we don't really know, like where neither guy's really able to put their stamp on this fight. I think it's just going to be that close of a fight. And Kevin Holland's had a few of those in his career. If you go back and watch some of his earlier fights, he has really, really tough fights against guys. Namely, like we were talking about before we started, the Jeff Neal fight. Go back and watch that one, guys, if you haven't. It's on YouTube. It's a hell of a fight. Really, really close fight. And I think this fight could play out very similarly, where both guys have their moments. Both guys look really good in moments, but neither one really able to run away with it.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with the money line and how close this is going to be. Especially given how both of these guys have looked recently, right? If we end up with a Kevin Holland crazy knockout or a Derek Brunson crazy finish, then I think that speaks a lot to whoever pulls that off. I would imagine this is going to be a close fight up until one of them gets knocked out or one of them wins a judge's decision. But I can't imagine this going in a way where Holland, say, goes in there and just, beats the brakes off of Brunson or vice versa. I don't see that happening. If it happens, then I think we've learned something very important about whoever wins that fight. And this type of matchmaking, again, is just so foreign to me, right? In terms of what I'm trying to think of the last time we had what seemed like a really perfect matchup in terms of the rankings, in terms of the styles and the just everything seems to fit into place with this one. But let's not forget that this is also Kevin Holland. This is a man who right now is currently campaigning to step in for Khamzat Chimaev, who just dropped out. So he would drop down to 170, where he has fought before, to take on Leon Edwards, which is insane. I mean, in my book, this far out fighting a top contender like Leon Edwards, that's crazy, especially with a weight cut. Let me ask you this. Aside from the Brunson matchup, what do you think the over-under is on Holland? Maybe not necessarily getting in on this fight, but Holland getting another fight booked before the headliner that he's been announced for.
Slim to none. I don't think they're going to go that crazy. I don't think they will. I do like, I mean, you love to see when guys get on social media and say, I'll step in, or I know a guy. Everybody took Cerrone's catchphrase and ran with it. They just said, give me that catchphrase. That's mine now. I don't hate when guys do like the ridiculous things like that. Like, listen, you're not going to fight at a lower weight class against Leon Edwards. It's just not going to happen. I'm sorry. You're 185er now. You were cutting 170 way earlier in your career before you made it to the UFC. 185 is your home now. I think that's where you're going to stay. All this crazy bouncing around, I don't think is in the cards for Kevin Holland. Yeah, it's good for some likes and retweets, but does it have any legs in real world impact? I don't think so. But hey, it's something, we could talk about for a little bit, but it does show though, if he was really serious about it though, if he was really serious, that's something that you don't see at a lot of guys, especially at 185. And I mean, I guess you credit Chimaev for that about the bouncing around to get attention and stuff like that, just taking fights wherever you can. So, I mean, I do like to see it, but I'm not going to get too geeked up over the possibility of it actually coming to fruition if that's the case. Kevin Holland, he's a big boy. He's grown. He's grown since those days. So like you said, that'd be a tough cut. Yeah, it'd be a rough cut. And, I also don't think the UFC wants to put Holland in that position, right? I think if Holland loses this fight, especially in crazy fashion, right, to Derek Brunson or something like that, then maybe they go ahead and start opening up that door and saying, yeah, you want to fight whenever? Sure, we'll keep you, we'll have you be a Cerrone type. We'll have you fight, whenever you can. That's fine. Simply because that was part of the appeal of Cerrone, right? Is they could call on him at any point. He wasn't making a run at the belt through most of the times that he stepped in on short notice fights. He was just kind of like, hey, I want to fight. That type of guy is always valuable to the UFC. But when you've got Kevin Holland, who just had the 2020 that he had, now has a giant headlining fight that if he wins, he's definitely in the mix for a top 5 guy / title contention. You don't want to derail that by having him fight at 170 in 2 weeks' notice, having to do that cut, fighting a real tough guy, Leon Edwards, where he could easily lose or get hurt and then be out of the March fight. I don't see them risking that. So from a business perspective too, I think that's probably a slim to none chance, unless they're that desperate for a headliner on that card, which it's not a pay-per-view. I can't see it happening. No, I think the smart thing is just to keep this fight intact. Just let it roll. Because, if he does go out there and finish Derek Brunson in spectacular fashion, go ahead and book him against Darren Till. Like, that should be the fight after that, I think. That would be a good fight to determine, place in line for the title for Izzy, or for an interim title at 185, depending on, what's happening with Izzy and Jan Blachowicz. There's so many crazy things happening in the title picture these days, and it's really just a mess. But I think that's the move for Kevin Holland. If he wins this fight, schedule him against Darren Till, and then that'll really let everyone know who's ready for that title shot.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. Let us know in the comments who you think is going to win this fight between Holland and Brunson. If, Holland wins, who should he fight next? Obviously, you've heard Matt say Darren Till. I like that matchup as well. I can't think of a better one if Holland ends up with a win. If Brunson wins, who do you want to see him fight? I think Darren Till is a good answer. I don't know. Is there someone else besides Darren Till that you'd like to see Brunson fight, Matt?
Darren Till's a good answer for either guy, but just for the sake of having a different opponent for the different winner, I'll say let's see how you rebound. Let's see how Jared Cannonier rebounds. You know, go ahead and put him in there against Jared Cannonier. I like that matchup.
Yeah, actually, Brunson versus Cannonier sounds pretty great, especially if Brunson comes out delivering some violence against Holland and gets the W. Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you all the way. So let us know in the comments as well who Brunson should fight. If it should be Till, if it should Cannonier, someone else that we're missing. Make sure to let us know because we love to hear from you guys. We've talked about who we're going to pick. I mean, now it just becomes a matter of, waiting for March 20th to wrap this one up. What is the over-under that COVID is gonna take this one away from us?
That's what I'm about to say. I was about to say that's a long time in the pandemic times to be excited about a fight and expect it to actually stay together. So you got to temper our expectations a little bit. This fight very well could not happen. But hey, if they're scheduling fights out that far, hopefully it sticks together.
Yeah, that's all we can hope for. It's fingers crossed. And sad crocodile noise is just, Jacare.